Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Father's Day, everybody. This is Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. I am your host, Professor Jeremy Vilmur. And joining us now, Arn Anderson's favorite enhancement talent, who is also a father, Double B, Bobby Blaze.
Hey, you know what? It's Who's Your Daddy Day. We could say that, you know.
Yep.
If I get that melody back over here, man, that'd be really nice. But because then I'd make it Motherfuckers Day, you know, because we all fuck some mothers to get them kids here. So it's our special day. Yes, it's me, Double B, Bobby Blaze, and we're bringing the Father's Day podcast to you, even though you can get this on Tuesday. We hope to have a really fun time with this podcast, and we're just going to have a little blowout about some different fathers and sons, maybe even a few third-generation wrestlers mentioned, and do a little house cleaning, because we got a couple of other episodes coming up where we're going to have some more fun, but today we're just going to have fun with Father's Day and bullshit around a little bit, because we started naming this the Bobby Blaze Birthday Bash, but we're not bashing yet, because I got a birthday this week. I've got a birthday this week, and hell, I'm going to try to find someone to play him for a slow hand job. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Now things are opening back up. I might be opening my car door back up.
I've never heard anybody being that specific, but what the hell, you know?
Well, you know.
Yeah.
It's your birthday. You can always dream, right?
Exactly, yeah.
They can't take your birthday away from you. Fuck them.
Not yet. Somehow they will, but not yet.
Yeah. Hey, I got a couple shout-outs real quick.
All right.
Got one to Johnny Candido for being on the show last week. That was cool, man. You know, no gimmicks needed. It's fun episode. Also, this past week, I was on a Rob and Slim podcast. I love being on those guys. I was on a live podcast of their year-end. They had a kind of blowout one with just a bunch of people, celebrities and comics and wrestlers and myself, somewhere in between there, on the Rob and Slim show. That'll be out. The replay will be out earlier this week. Jeremy and I will put that up on the Bell to Bell Blaze podcast channel, and I'll promote it some too. Real quickly, Jeremy, as you know, July 17th in Ironton, Ohio at the Rona Theater, FTC Wrestling's coming back, and they're putting together a pretty good show. I think it can be called This Show's a Clusterfuck, but they've got some pretty good talent coming into it. People from WWE, NWA. Matt Cross is coming in. I'm really looking forward to see Matt. If you've seen him on NWA, really, really good.
Super legitimate dude, yeah.
Yes, and I like that guy. I like his work ethic. Dude, he was booked one time over there a couple years back and had broken his leg. He drove from Cleveland down anyway just to sell gimmicks and see the fans and let them know that he was legitimately injured, wasn't just no-showing. I respected that very much of this young man, and I love his in-ring work. We've got from Crime Time, JTG. Also, Brandy Lauren, and one of my main guys, man, Shane Douglas is coming in. And also all the students from the Art of Grappling School will be there. Jillian Hall will be there. Misery would be there. I think Casey King may be making an appearance. Wishing Casey King a recovery from his ACL operation. He's doing really well. He's ahead of schedule on his rehab. So that's cool. I'm going to be there in the back just kind of taking in the show, man, and being a fan, and also as one of the coaches and trainers, I'll be critiquing some of the matches and taking notes for that. I've been getting great joy out of that, helping with some of these young students, and some of them have some really good potential. August the 7th in Beckley, West Virginia, the Bash in Beckley. I'll be with my main man, Shane Storm. I'll be in his corner. He battles the legendary Jerry the King Lawler. I'm going to be Shane's manager. I'm honored to be a part of the show and honored to manage Shane in this battle. The only thing is, when I signed the deal, I was unaware of. Now it's into play, and that is Dennis Condrey is going to be there as some kind of enforcer. So just going to have to keep one eye on Lawler and one eye on Condrey now, it seems like, But I'm confident my man Shane Storm, because I did beat Jerry King Lawler, and I told Shane Storm the secret to beating him.
Okay. Don't
don't
let him get you in that
in.
pile driver.
Yeah.
Causes cancer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Other than that, any house cleaning notes you could think of, Jeremy? I've got one more. I'm going to be at Insider's Edge podcast. California is what the gimmick name is. At California, I can't say it, but it's actually out of Australia, and it's a couple of gentlemen from over there got a hold of me. I'm gonna be doing a Zoom conference with them, so when I get that up, I'll make sure it's publicized on my Twitter account at BobbyBlaze744. Find Jeremy at the Geekish Cast, or the team podcast Twitter account is Bell to Bell Blaze. So look for us there. And that's that, Jeremy. Let's get into this Father's Day, because I know you're a father, so happy Father's Day to you, my friend.
Well, happy Father's Day to you, too. Yeah, Micah is driving down to L.A. to see his son for the next or his oldest son for the next couple days. So.
While we were talking, my youngest, I've heard from both my sons today. I'm very, very glad about that. Just got off the phone. My youngest one had called me earlier, while I was having lunch, and my oldest one, he was doing a little bit of traveling for work, and he gave me a call, so I got to talk to him. But since we first logged on, I just got another picture of the youngest one. Sent me a picture of some beer he's drinking. It's White Russian. It's got the Big Lebowski on it. It's got a White Russian, and it's he said it's like a Guinness beer. But it's got Walter and the great the dude on it with a bowling ball, and it's Imperial Stout, and it looks like a carpet around the edge of the can. And also, he sent me an update on his mullet. So I know that's what I was trying to get to, is my youngest son now has a Bobby Blaze mullet, and the mullet is making a comeback, and I've been sending that out, man, hoping more and more people tweet that, man, that the mullet is coming back. So...
it is, okay, so it's called The Brood Abides? Was that the same one?
He bought 4 of them. They're $18. And they're 11.1% alcohol, he said, and they're also 16-ounce cans. So you're getting a pretty good deal, actually.
Oh, I think 2 people are doing this, because the one I found is only 7%.
Okay. And now, on one side, it has a bowling ball, and it says, Southern Pines Brewing Company, White Russian Imperial Stout. If you're out there, we're looking for sponsors, motherfuckers.
Yeah, give us a call.
And then on the front one, the front of the can has Walter and the dude, and it says, and a bowling ball. Walter's holding a gun. The dude's holding his White Russian drink. It says White Russian Imperial Stout. And then on the bottom edge and the top edge, it's the carpet. It's the design of the carpet. And, that carpet tied everything together.
Yeah,
and
really tied
no man
together.
should piss on another man's rug. That's all the reason to be pissed off, And I'm pretty sure by now everyone's aware of what we're talking about. So...
yeah, there are actually a bunch of Big Lebowski inspired beers here. I am not finding the one you're talking about, but I am finding all sorts.
Yeah, well, he got his in North Carolina, so I don't know. I'm sure they're everywhere then. But also, speaking of haircuts with that mullet, did any of your kids ever do something crazy if their hair shaved their head, or come home from Mohawk after a football game, or decide to get their long, beautiful hair that my son had cut into a mullet, because he had a beautiful head of hair that was getting compliments all the time, and he decided to get a mullet in honor of me. So how about you?
Yeah, well, a handful of years ago, and both kids did crazy shit with their hair at different times.
All right.
A handful of years ago, I'm leaving for work real early in the morning, right? And Micah, being the artistic sort, he would go through spells where he would just be up painting and writing songs and shit for 2 days straight, right?
Ooh, yeah.
And then he'd sleep the next 3 days, So I'm leaving, headed to work, and I'm walking past the front room, and Mike is sitting there in a baby blue women's suit with women's boots. He has cut his hair into a spiky mullet and dyed it red. And I walked by the room, I looked at him, and I said, Bowie? And he goes, yep. And I said, all right, I'll see you tonight. And I just kept going.
That's good, man. That's good. That's a good gimmick, I think, man.
Yeah, no, it is. He does some Bowie songs when he plays live gigs and stuff, you know.
So he didn't go for the Ziggy Stardust.
That was actually, if you look at the haircut and everything, that's actually where he was headed with it.
Okay, that's where you're going with. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Gotcha. Cool stuff, man. Well, those kids, man, you know, they are what makes us pops and fathers. And I'm just going to throw this out there, Jeremy. I'm not going to try to put a dip in the show, but I'm going to try to start it at a spot, and we can go from there. So let's just this is kind of our I'll call it the elephant in the room of this podcast, because we're going to start off the top of the podcast by giving away the Father of the Year award. How's that? Oh boy,
yeah.
What do you think? We'll just rib on this for a second. Let's not make it too dark, pun intended.
And nobody take this seriously, please.
Yes, no one take it seriously. But Jeremy and I voted. We should have ran a poll, actually, and I'm sure we would have got a couple votes that Jeremy and I would have got outvoted on this Father of the Year award. But Jeremy, who are we going to give us the Father of the Year award?
Oh, God, you're making me do it, huh?
You want me to do it?
No, I guess I'll do it. I'll take the heat.
Okay, come on, man.
All
Man
right. Well, Father of the Year is going to Grizzly Smith, God help me.
Damn you. Oh, man.
Oh, shit. That was a hard watch. I'm assuming you watched it.
Yes, I watched it that day. You had told me you had seen it, and you said, Bobby, it's a hard watch. And after we got done podcasting, I did watch it, and I was just thinking, what a fucking horrific, fucked up family dynamics in this family. You know, we all come from somewhere that's a little bit fucked up sometimes. But, man, that one was a hard watch. We said we'd do a rib on it, kind of. And a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people coming out now, you know, that were around him, and they had no idea. You know, they said some of the older guys that had been around the boys and stuff made little snide remarks here and there, and said a few things, and they had heard Jake say a few things here and there, but apparently, you know, they were around this, and they weren't aware as to how deep and how much Grizzly was into this whole deal with the things he did.
Jesus Christ. Well, you know, I went and I watched Jim Cornette, a clip from one of the podcasts that was on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Well, I say clip, it was like half an hour of him trying to explain, like, look, you know, Grizzly Smith was the boss. Yeah. And, you know, there were snide things being said and shit was being dangled out there, but nobody really pulled on that thread, so to speak. Yeah. And, you know, I remember back now, 20 years ago or whenever it was when Wrestling with Shadows came out. Mm-hmm. And that, I thought, if I remember right, Jake Roberts made it sound like his sister was also his mother and his father was a pedophile. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't remember if that was, I remember that being in there. Now, if my memory is 100% or not, I can't tell you for sure. Here's the weird thing about that. While that is not factual, it was a true statement. You know, because this guy was, you know, if it was his own kid, it didn't stop him. You know? Yeah.
Well, let's put this out there right now. We're not putting over a pedophile, just so everyone knows that. We were ribbing on it to go from a bit, because by now, most of our listeners, I would imagine, have seen, you know, the Grizzly Smith on the dark side of the ring. And this season was a really, really good season. And that was a really dark piece. And those kids are still, it seems like at times, at a dark place as adults. So, you know, they said at the end, I think this was, it may bring those kids a bit closer again as adults. But so anyway, take that for what it was worth, people. Go do your own research, do your own thing. We're not fucking sitting there putting over a pedophile. We just had some fun with it. Thought we'd rib on a Father of the Year, Grizzly Smith. So, all kidding aside, Jeremy, what?
Well, here was the thought I had, Bobby. And honestly, at this point, I don't remember if this was an independent thought I had or if it was something I heard.
Right.
But, you know, they got into how manipulative he was and how he used that to get what he wanted. And they talked about, you know, the level of psychology and psychological abuse. And I suddenly became horrified by the thought What if the reason Jake the Snake Roberts was such a good in-ring psychologist and, manipulator and speaker is because of his father?
Wow, that's a good point. Good point, man. Yeah, sometimes you covet what you see. If you see and are around someone that manipulates and deceitful and, again, brings that work home that, hey, people are trying to kill me in the ring. It's real, that can be horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point and a good question to be asked, man. Anyway, we'll wrap that up. We just wanted to throw it out there because we really wanted to talk about the dark side of the ring. We've brought up each week. We haven't done an in depth, let's break this all down kind of thing. But it was just one of those things for Father's Day. We thought, well, we'll rib around on it for a little bit. But
you have to joke about it because otherwise all you can do is get fucking sad and sour,
Yeah, and that's the thing. It is the dark side of the ring. I thought, the Pillman one, you're dealing with. I've seen Brian Pillman Jr. perform, and man, I'm happy for him. That there's a little bit of a story there that something good is going to happen. Hopefully for his career, it already appears to be. The Dynamite Kid again, just shell of himself. Once he tried to go back too soon, and just kind of. Different story there, just went back to England, never come back to see his kids again. They finally come and went over and saw him. But again, just that whole dark side. It's not the fucking rainbow lollipops and unicorns of pro wrestling, people. It is called a dark side for a reason.
And, and they mean it.
Yeah, so let's bring it up a notch. Who are some other father and sons in professional wrestling that some past, some may be current, maybe your favorite, one of your favorite wrestlers was his dad, a professional wrestler as well. I got one in particular that I'm going to bring up, but who you like? Any
I think just because I'll be one of the few people to bring it up, I'm going to bring up Warren and Nick Bockwinkel.
Okay.
Because, Nick Bockwinkel's been gone for a few years now, and I can pretty much guarantee that only those of us who are the most, dug in on wrestling historically even know that Nick Bockwinkel's dad was a wrestler,
Yeah.
And so I feel like, you got to throw them a bone because, somebody needs to point out that they're there.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw out Professor Boris Malenko, his sons Joe and Jody and Shelley, otherwise known as Joe and Dean. But he was a father to many. He was a father figure to me.
Wait, hold on. I gotta stop you real quick. Dean Malenko's real name is Shelley?
I look it up. Just saying, I've heard it been called that before.
Short for Sheldon or something, I'm guessing.
Just look it up. So anyway, but no, I was going to say, but Professor Malenko was like a father figure to many. I took away a lot of that from the camp. He was my mentor, my teacher, and my mentor. I've heard Bob Cook say it. I've heard Sean Waltman say it. Willie Wilkinson Jr., Rico Federico, just a bunch of guys I know that are my age that said, man, he was such a father figure to me at a time when I was young and trying to be a professional wrestler. And he bestowed a lot of knowledge upon us all that we could, took later in life, not just the wrestling lessons. So I'll bring up Boris and Joe and Dean and give it back to you.
Well, we're
not doing a top 10. We're just mentioning fathers and sons that have wrestled.
We're just talking this week. Look, we've been doing a lot of interviews lately, and we just kind of need some downtime and just to bullshit for a bit. So,
And with that said, Jeremy, let me ask you real quickly. Of our fans, please hit us up. We've had Mike Mills, Johnny Candido, some different authors on here. Please, if you've liked that, hit us up on a Bell to Bell podcast there on the Twitter and let us know what you think about, you want us to do. We do have another guest coming in a couple of weeks. I'm not going to give that away right now. But anyway, let us know if you like the guest appearing on our show. We appreciate that if you do. And if you don't, hey, let us know that too. I know we are going back to something fun for our 4th of July. But yeah, like Jeremy said, it's kind of like the Bobby Blaze blow off bash bullshit. Let's get this out of the way and have some fun on Father's Day.
Exactly.
So,
if I had been thinking ahead, I'd have been drinking by now too.
Me too. Who you got?
Let's see here. Well, so I'm going to take one that's going to be a big one.
Okay.
I got to go with Big Dusty here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good one.
I got to go with him. Obviously, Dustin Rhodes. I kind of feel like Dustin Rhodes came into wrestling at a bad time where he'll never be quite what he should have been. I mean, he got over his gold dust, and I don't want to take that away from him.
Right.
But he could have really been, Dusty Rhodes Jr., I think, at one point. But of course, then his younger son, Cody, is fucking setting the world on fire, basically, with AEW. So, I think you got to give a big nod to Dusty. Also, Dustin Rhodes is he's like 51, 52 right in there now, I think. And is kind of having a career renaissance. Probably his last hurrah, but, still out there looking good. Probably better than he's looked in a long time.
Yes. Really good dude, too. He's got his shit together. He's doing great, and I'm happy for him, man. I've known Dustin a long time. I haven't seen him. It's been a couple years back since I've seen him, but yeah, good people. I'm going to mention this to you because you mentioned it to me and I don't want you to forget it. Didn't you tell me on Dusty and having an NWA championship, what was the significance of that on Father's Day you was telling me?
Oh, so when Cody picked up
the only father-son?
They're the only father-son team, and it was within 2 or 3 days of like the 38th anniversary of Dusty Rhodes' first win of the NWA title when Cody won the NWA title.
Okay. So only father-son to hold it.
Yeah. The only father-son to a team to hold it. So, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I thought you told me, and I didn't want you to forget it because I didn't know if you were going to go there or not. But I had totally just slipped my mind that when we was doing this, I was like, oh, that's a good point to bring up. And you brought it up in our pregame show or whatever you want to call it, pre-taping. Pre-recording.
Yeah.
So is it back on me?
Well, you know what? I got a question. I don't know if you know, because I don't think you were there yet or it started yet. But Dusty, when he was a booker, I wonder how the guys looked at him. I mean, was he like a fatherly figure? Was he a slave driver? You ever heard anything?
No, there's a couple shoot interviews on YouTube how Dusty was in the NWA. Mm-hmm. Greg the Hammer has a really good one. Greg the Hammer Valentine, really recent one. He talks about it. Of course, Jim Cornette talks about how, just getting on a plane and Dusty just writing and already getting into it. No, when I was there, Dusty was basically kind of on a board, but more into he was onto the announcer's table and stuff like that. I had an interaction with him, just, man to man, talking to him. Him and Tony Schiavone asking me different questions, who I liked growing up, and just kind of like get some insight on stuff when they put my matches together. And I like that Dusty Rhodes said, I remind him of a young Dickie Slater or a young Terry Gordy, and then he goes, "Damn, how old am I?" And he's talking about himself, but he really puts me over. With some of those references, when I was beating someone up as being a young Dick Slater, I was like, "Ooh, that's a good compliment from the American Dream Dusty Rhodes." But he wasn't. He wasn't too much in charge when I was there. He was just basically a part of the announcing team. Yeah. And I told Tony even, I said, hell, how can I say, not say Dusty was one of my favorites growing up too, And Tony just kind of laughed about it, and he said, "Yeah. We can get you over. Don't worry about it, kid," kind of thing. So, but yeah, he wasn't necessarily in charge or booking. He wasn't one of my road agents or anything. Right. I just spoke to him in catering and complimented him when he complimented me. If I saw him at the next show or after next taping, I'd always say, "Hey, man, appreciate the kind words," about me getting to the pay window or whatever.
Was it the Benoit match where he really put you over? Was that the one?
Yes, he did. He said, I'm gonna get to the pay window, and he said, man, I'm a Bobby Blaze fan. Then he goes, hey, well, I'm a Benoit fan. He just goes on and on. But yeah, he's really putting me over in that match. But that's one of my better matches too. If someone just going in there and let's go at it, man. And we did.
Yeah, that's the only Benoit match I'll watch now.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll watch that one because they'll play it at the camp sometimes. But the other one I recommend, and I'll go back and watch every once in a while. And I just told someone the other day to go back to watch at the Pillman Memorial with him and Steve Regal or William Regal, because that's like a training match for young students. If they just watch that to see the psychology and the brutality of it,
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. The only reason I watched the one with you and him is because you're my friend.
Well, I appreciate that. And I don't watch it out of vanity.
Yeah.
If someone asks me, I'll say, put that one on.
Yeah, no, it's a great match.
Yeah. It was. I appreciate the compliment. It really was. And it was a hard one, man. It really was. Not hard in putting it together or anything, just hard work. We just put our heart and soul into it, and there was a good reason for that.
Well, he was trying to let you prove a point, wasn't he?
Yes, yes, absolutely. He was getting me over to prove a point, and it was a point well taken and a point well made. So we're a point well made and a point well taken because the person involved was Mongo, and we got the word back to him.
Yep.
And he respectfully came over, and we spoke about it. So I'll tell that another time. Let's go on to another.
We'll keep moving.
Father. I'm going to go with one I know. Another guy's kind of like a father figure to me. He was the commissioner of Smoky Mountain Wrestling when I was there. Legend throughout the South, man. Bullet Bob Armstrong. And of course, he's father of Scotty Armstrong, Brad Armstrong, Steve Armstrong, and Brian Armstrong, otherwise known as the Road Dogg. So father and 4 kids in the wrestling business had all done really good for themselves. And, man, that bullet was over. If you ever listen to the Studcast and hear how much, Big Ron puts Bob over, man, really good father. Then him and Brad at one time teamed together when Brad first got in, and Scotty, he's now, I'm going to say producer. I don't know. He's still with WWE, as is Brian. Sadly, we lost Brad a few years back, but Brad was one of the most talented guys, that we've talked about before. Has been underrated or what have you, but we all know how good Brad was. So yeah, I put Bullet Bob up there as a good Happy Father's Day to him.
Yeah, he definitely deserves to be up there. You know what? And because of that, I'm going to follow him with one that is going to have to load out a little bit. I'm going to throw Roy Welch up here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good one, man.
Yeah.
Good one. Fill us in.
Well, it's just, the Fuller Welch clan is kind of...
time to take a shot.
Oh, that's right, everybody.
I wish I had one. Anyway,
I think that's actually 2 because I said both Fuller and Welch. Yes. Well, it's 4 now.
Shit.
Let's see, that gets out of control really quick. If you want to talk about a family that was kind of the backbone of pro wrestling, these guys spent the early part of the 20th century, or, Roy did specifically, but his kids and grandkids as well. But, he'd go to an area, he'd start a territory, hot shot it a little bit later, sell it, move on, go somewhere else and do it. Everything from fucking wrestling bears to, some real old school carny shit to get a show over and,
right.
Just the very backbone. Memphis is partially due to him. Everywhere you look, you're just like, oh yeah. And there's that name. There's the Fuller Welch family, Buddy Fuller, Roy Welch, Ron and Rob. Just a very important family, and everybody in there that we're going to mention had kids. So, just through Roy Welch, they all go up.
I think there were like 23 family members involved in professional wrestling from that family.
Yep.
May have been as many as 26. I can't recall the exact when we had Ron on, but also the, throughout Tennessee, pretty much the entire state, some into Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, all the way down to New Orleans, all the way up to up into Indiana and Ohio. I mean, he had an impact on all those different territories at one point or another. That family did, and owning a part of it, like you said, hot shot at selling it and open another territory.
Yeah,
and that's a good one, man. That's a good one.
Well, think about it this way: they had so many people from their family in wrestling, they had to use kayfabe last names to get everybody in.
There you go. About 100 years ago now, right?
Yeah,
we're looking at over 100 years of wrestling history through this one family. And I listen to the Studcast every week. I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorites. And it's not just because we had Big Ron on the program. It's because I enjoy that program. And they're in Knoxville in like 1977 now. And, Harley Race is in and Terry Funk's in. The Mongolian Stomper's there is a huge star. Ronnie Garvin, of course, Ron and Robert rather. And I said Robbie because I was going to say Jimmy Golden, tremendous talent. Jimmy Golden, tremendous talent, man. Just all the angles they're doing right now. They're bringing in Lawler and Dundee and a young Tommy Rich have been coming over from Memphis and getting beat over in Knoxville. And then guys from Knoxville are going over to Memphis and get beaten their TV. So it's kind of a, just a back and forth of trade of talent during that time period. And it's had a really good time. And that's when I was really, a teenager, and I was getting to see a lot of that wrestling product at that time. So yeah, good stuff. Give you a plug there for Ron Fuller. Not that he needs it, but that Studcast, boy, he could tell a story.
Yeah. Well, it's, like I said, before we got him to come on, I was like, that's my get interview in pro wrestling. Yeah. That's when I've got that one, I'm kind of fucking cool with whatever, and we had him on and I was totally stoked. And I don't think I said but 8 words the whole time. So,
well, it's still all right. Cause he's the one that was telling the stories, man. Exactly. We just needed to listen.
Exactly.
Back on me, I want to go with, I'm going to go with Bob Orton Jr. Now, Malenko knew Bob Orton Sr., and I don't think other than seeing pictures that I see, Bob Orton Sr., but Bob Orton Jr., I got to watch him in the NWA. He's actually right now I got to actually watch him in ICW, but he's actually in where they're at on the Studcast. He's in Tennessee. But as we know, eventually that group's going to break up, and ICW is going to come out of there because there's the Knoxville 5 or Plan B or whatever you call it. They haven't got to yet. But then, of course, so Bob Orton Jr., all the way to the WrestleManias, there he was from Outlaw Mud Show or whatever they want to call it back then, when they split up to going to the NWA, to going to the WWF and being involved in a WrestleMania, to having a son, Randy Orton, that is one of the best fucking wrestlers the world's seen, man. That guy can just do it all. And I love the whole deal, the RKO, the way he's built, the way he talks, just the way he works. He makes it look easy when it's difficult, but he still makes it look like a struggle when he needs to. And so there's you a good third generation wrestler. But since we're doing Father's Day, we'll go with Bob Orton Jr. being a father of Randy Orton.
Yeah, I gotta throw in here real quick that I was watching a supercut of him dropping that RKO from quote unquote from out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And there was one where that Seth Rollins was about to curb stomp him, and he put his foot on the back of his head and propelled himself up in the air. And then Randy Orton jumped up and got him in the RKO from that. And I was just like, holy that is timing. I mean, that is just incredible. Yeah. Bob Orton, is he still wearing a cast?
I'm pretty sure he is. And I want to say this. Let me give a shout out to a local business here in Ashland, the Time Warp. Earl, I hope you're listening. If someone will let Earl know that I gave him a plug on the podcast, I appreciate it. I'm going to be making an appearance in August at the Time Warp. But I think it's July 3rd. Demolition was supposed to be there. They're not going to make it. That's been canceled. But I'm going somewhere with this, Jeremy. Okay. Guess who's going to be in Ashland, Kentucky at the Time Warp July 3rd? Tony Atlas and Bob Orton Jr.
Oh, I would have never gotten to Tony Atlas, so I'm glad you
I know, that's why I said him first. But yeah, they're filling in. They got them to come here. So if I go down by there, I will check and see if he's got his cast on.
I think that's only fair, you know?
Yeah. And I don't know if I'm going or not. I have been invited. But, you know, sometimes, hey, that's their deal. Let them go down there and get their shine. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, he's got D'Lo Brown coming to town pretty soon. Trying to think who else he has. Can't think. And I know I'm scheduled for sometime in August. I don't have an exact date yet. I think it'll be back to school, Bobby Blaze kind of thing, what we're going to be doing back when school starts back in this area. So anyway, Bob Orton Jr., maybe he will be in Ashland. I think it's July 3rd at Time Warp, and he'll probably have his cast on. If you hear this podcast, tell him Bobby Blaze gave him and Tony Atlas a shout out. There you go.
Right on. So, no, that's cool.
Back to you, man. Who else you got? Anyone else?
Let's see. Well, yeah.
Keep this up.
There's tons of them.
Well, here. Time we're on here.
Here you go. Now, this guy is going to be on here not because I heard he was the greatest person on the planet, but just because I have such an affinity for the family, and also one of his sons has two sons who are wrestling now, so it'll allow me to mention him. But I'm going to go with Fritz Von Erich, and then Kevin Von Erich, but, you know, the other Von Erichs in there, I think Carrie has a daughter who went through wrestling briefly, so as many of the Von Erichs as I can fit in here, I'm going to fit in here.
Okay, you do that. This will be our grand finale on Father's Day. How's that?
Yeah, that
because
works.
I know this family is important to you, and we went through quite a few, and we could go through a whole list more. Guys, we're just trying to have some fun with it. We have a whole list in front of us we're both looking at. We've added, we've done this and done that. But let's finish up with Fritz Von Erich and Von Erich, because that's a legacy there that's forever, it seems like. Still going on today.
Yep. Well, you know, Fritz made a group of stars out of his kids. I mean, even the smallest, sickliest of them, you know, was a star in Dallas. You know, he created a super hot wrestling territory during a time where wrestling was real hot, and then it cooled off real quick. You know, then Kevin, going through so much in his life, is, you know, now he occasionally shows up managing his sons as a tag team over in MLW.
He looks like he's in a really good spot in his life, too.
Yeah, he does. I mean, comparatively, like what I'm sure was a really hard life at a certain point, you know, just because of how much that family had been through. But, you know, I mean, Fritz Von Erich ran a hot territory, and, you know, I got to throw these guys in there just because I have such an affinity for this family.
Absolutely. Now, the two boys, the grandsons, are they working for MLW?
That's where I always see them at. Yeah.
Okay. That's where I see them too. They look very talented. And I know at one time Kevin was a fan of the program because we put his family over quite a bit at the beginning. And hopefully he's still listening. If he's not, and someone does see him or his son's out there, tell him, hey, Jeremy and Bobby gave him a shout out and happy Father's Day. And to all of our listeners, if you're a father or a motherfucker, whatever you deem yourself, hopefully you're a good father or a good dad, or maybe you can find you a Melody to be a good daddy too. That's my goal this week for my birthday week.
Happy birthday.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm going to check into that and probably be paying someone to get out of my car, not in the car. But anyway, we'll just go with that, man. Happy Father's Day to everyone.
Yeah. So, that's Bobby's closing line on a date. Here's $20 if you just get out now.
Get out the fucking car. You know, the gig's up. No, I was thinking of something earlier, man. I forgot what it was, but anyway, I was thinking of Henry Rollins get in the van and it's Bobby Blaze get out of the car, you know. But I was thinking like somewhere between there too, there's a Terry Gordy. Don't touch Terry Gordy's van, you know.
Exactly, so. Yeah.
Oh man. Just something to have fun with.
Shit.
And again, people, from the top of the hour to right now, we were just having a good time. Don't take anything too personal. You know, we had fun with it, ribbed on it or whatever. Maybe we left your favorite wrestler off of here. We probably did. But we just had a few that we wanted to go and hit and highlight, and there's all kinds of them. And father, sons, and third generation wrestlers. We had a whole list of some other ones we're going to mention, even some girls that were involved that their dad were wrestling and they're wrestling today, you know. So that goes both ways, not just for the guys, fathers, sons. We had a couple of daughters we just didn't mention. But anyway, Jeremy, it's been fun. We try to make it fun like we do every week. I know next week, when you tune in, it'll be we'll be doing our 4th of July special. We are going to go back in time and do what we did before that turned out to be the year was. We've done like 4 of those now for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then another one from 1986. I think the other one from 78. We did 86. This time, next week, we are going to record the 4th of July, the bicentennial special. We're going to take a trip in time back to 1976. And we're going to have fun with it, man. I've really been looking forward to this because that's the year I turned. Since this is my birthday week, you can do the math. That's the summer I turned 13. And, man, it was a really magical summer. And it was a good year for professional wrestling. A lot of big events took place, and we're going to have fun with it, talking about trivia, pop culture, you know, TV, radio, things like that. Andre shows up a couple times. Imagine that. We'll have fun with it. Then I think we've got a break in there for something. I'm not sure. Then we're also going to have a famous YouTuber involved in professional wrestling coming on in about 3 weeks. So that's just kind of let everyone know what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
On the Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze podcast. Follow me at Bobby Blaze 744 on Twitter. Follow the professor at The Geekish Cast, or hit the joint account up at Bell to Bell Blaze. I'm throwing it back to Jeremy before I plug my books and get out of here.
Oh, well, you know what? Since you brought up 1978, I do have to bring up that we lost one of television's greatest fathers this week.
Oh.
And, you know, because our 1978 show was WKRP themed.
Yes.
The Herbert Ruggles Tarlick Jr., as played by Frank Bonner. Frank Bonner passed away this week at the age of 79. I did pull up his credits earlier. He kept working all the way up to 2014 or 2015, as an actor and as a director.
Okay.
But, you know, one of my favorite, like I put up on Facebook the night I heard he passed away, I was like, you know, couch covers may sleep safe tonight, but I won't. You know, he had such a great character on that show, just such a smarmy fucking guy with such ugly suits. And he was like a dog chasing cars that once he got the pretty blonde to agree to go out with him, he chicken shitted out. Just a great character. And I was sorry to hear that he passed away. I hope it was surrounded by family or at least, prostitutes. But as such a big fan of WKRP, I of course did take notice.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Yeah. Turkey's away.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else we need to wrap up with, Professor?
Why don't you sell a book or two, Bobby?
I'm going to try to. Okay, so here's the deal, man. You can find my books on Amazon. I have several ebooks, but I have 2 print editions. And the easiest way to find those is to go to tinyurl.com/blazebook1. If you'll use that tiny URL, the show gets a little bit of kickback out of it once you buy one of my books. When I gave that one there, Blaze Book 1, that will take you to Pin Me, Pay Me, Have Booth Will Travel, my very first wrestling book that I wrote. The second book is called I Kicked Out on 2, The Educational Wrestler. The way to get it is go to tinyurl.com/blazebook2. It'll take you right to the Amazon link. There's no extra charges. Again, it's a small kickback, but we appreciate it because we're kind of a grassroots podcast, if you will. We don't have sponsors. We have a lot of friends, and we appreciate that. And again, if you buy one of my books, it helps me out. It helps the professor out. It helps the program out. And just go to tinyurl.com/blazebook1 for Pin Me, Pay Me, Have Boost for Travel. Go to tinyurl.com/blazebook2, and it'll take you to I Kicked Out on 2, The Educational Wrestler, and we appreciate that very much. Happy Father's Day, and we appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. We do appreciate it. Hope you all you fathers, parents, dads, have a great Father's Day. You ever notice, Bobby, that Mother's Day, you take mom to a really nice restaurant, and for Father's Day, we're all supposed to fucking barbecue for ourselves? Yeah. You ever notice that horse shit? God damn. That's as much bullshit as an old AWA match finish. I mean, that is some bullshit right there.
Well, it's better than a cold boot in the ass.
Well, this is true. Most things are better than that, I imagine. Well, everybody, I think that's going to wrap us up. Thank you for listening. Yeah, please buy a book if you haven't done so yet. And, for the late Tex Johnson, myself, Professor Jeremy Vilmur, and Arn Anderson's favorite enhancement talent, Double B, Bobby Blaze. Happy Father's Day, everybody.